guys, welcome to Zekai Maths. Today we're going to be going through some GCSE Maths warm-up questions for Higher Paper 1, which means that you're not going to be using a calculator. Any questions, feel free to just make a comment down below and I can try and get back to you as soon as possible. Right, starting off with an approximation question, it says use approximations to one significant figure to estimate the value of this calculation here. So whenever you're approximating or estimating a value, you are going to be approximating it to one significant figure anyway, so the question is telling you that you need to write it correct to one significant figure. If it doesn't mention anything about that in the exam, you are still going to be doing the same thing. So approximately it's going to be 50 squared, 48.6 squared is 50 squared to one significant figure, 0.497 is going to be 0.5 to one sig fig, so that's the first significant figure. Is the first non-zero digit, the next to it is 9, that goes up to 5, and then 104.7 is going to be 100. So 50 squared is going to be 2,500 times 0.5 divided by square root of 100 is 10. Half of 2,500 is going to be 1,250 divided by 10, and 1,250 divided by 10 is going to give you 125, and that's your final answer. So the second part is more or less all the standard form questions that you could have for fluency. 9.416 times 10 to the power of 5 as an ordinary number. So this is the same thing. So remember, 10 to the power of 5 is the same thing as 3, 4, 5, this. So you're multiplying your number with that. So that means you're timesing it with 10 5 times. So it's going to get 10 times more each time you times it. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the 2 zeros. So your answer is going to be this. Standard form has to be in between 1 and 10. So it's going to be 5.83. So 5.83 times 10 to the power of, remember it's going to be a negative this one because it's before the number. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 4. This over here is going to be 2 divided by 8, so that's 0.25. 10 to the 14 divided by 10 to the 9 is going to be 10 to the 5. 9, 5, 14, yep. So you subtract the terms. Then 0.25 times 10 to the 5 is your answer. But remember, standard form has to be written down in between 1 and 10. So we want it to be 2.5 really. 2.5 times 10 to the power of 1 less power is going to be 4. There's your answer. Right, here's a sequence 15, 19, 23, 27. Work out an expression for the nth term of the sequence. So what's happening each time is it the same? Right, we're adding 4 each time. So this means it's going to be 4n, and then I'm going to find out the 0th term, so I'm going to take 4 away from it, so that's going to be 11, add 11. How am I going to check if my answer is correct? What I'm going to be doing is, in order for me to find out the first term, if I was to substitute 1 into n, it should give me 15. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 11 is 15, so it's correct. Okay. A geometric progression starts 4, then 16. Geometric means you're multiplying it. You're either multiplying or you're dividing. So it's going to be multiplying by 4. What do they want? Work out the next term. Okay, we're going to times it by 4. 16 times 4 is going to give you 64. So that's your answer. Okay, question 4, work out 2 to the power of 8 divided by 2 to the power of 3 as a whole number. Okay, so we need to find out 2 to the 8 divided by 2 to the 3. You keep the base the same and then you subtract the powers. 8 take away 3 is going to give you 5. I'm not going to leave it here because they want me to find out as a whole number, or sometimes they say work out the value of, which is the same thing. So you're going to need to do 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm not going to be doing 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I need to do 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32 as my answer. Okay. Write 3 to the power of 12 to the power of 3 as a single power of 3. When you've got power to a power, you times these two powers, and that's going to become your power. So it's going to be 12 times 3 is going to be 36, 3 to the power of 36. Write as a single power of 2. So we're going to need to write this down as a single power of 2. So that everything else is base of 2. So we need to convert this into a power of 2. 2 to the power of something will give us 16. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, so it's 4 then. 2 to the 4 times 2 to the 5 times 2 to the 3. You add the powers, it's going to become 9, 3, 12. 2 to the power of 12. Question 5, two identical circles just fit inside a rectangle as shown. So this is a problem solving question. Work out the area of the shaded section. Okay, so in order for us to work out the area of the shaded section, we obviously need to find out the area of the rectangle, area of the two circles, and take them away. So if this is 12, if I half it, this is 6, and this is 6. And since this is the diameter of the circle, it's the same thing along this way. So that means this bit is going to be 6 as well. So to find out the area of the rectangle, I'm going to have to do 6 times 12, which is going to give me 72 centimeters squared. And to find out the area of the circle, I'm going to find out the area of the circle and then I can just double it. I don't need to find out each and every single one. So pi r squared is the area of the circle. The diameter is 6, the radius is 3 then, so that's going to be pi times 3 squared, so that's 9 pi. So I've got two lots of 9 pi, because there are two circles. So 9 pi times 2 is going to be 18 pi centimeters squared. So I want to find out the area in terms of pi, so that means 72 was the whole thing, and I'm going to need to take away 18 pi to find out the shaded region, so I'm just going to leave it as that, and this is my final answer. Right, question 6, work out 9 to the power of half. Remember, anything to the power of a half is the same thing as square rooting that number, so 9 to the power of half is the same thing as square rooting 9, so that's going to be 3. 8 to the power of negative 1 out of 3, so cube rooting 8. But then this is a negative power, so that means I'm going to need to write it down as a reciprocal. So it's going to be 1 out of cube root of 8. So it's going to be 1 out of 2 cubed is going to give me 8. So it's going to be 2 then, 1 out of 2. Work out the value of 9 out of 100 to the power of 3 out of 2. So this is, but I do it in two different ways. You can either think of it as there is a number for each section here. There is a number that needs to be raised to the power of 2 to give you 9. And whatever that number is, you take that number and write it down to the power of 3, and that's going to give you the top section. And you can also think of it as there is a number that I need to raise it to the power of 2, so that's going to give me 100. Whatever that number is, take it to the power of the numerator, and that's going to give you the final answer. So 3 squared is 9, 3 cubed is 27, so the numerator is going to be 27. 10 squared is 100, and then you take the same 10. 10 cubed is going to be 1000, and that's 1000. This is how I prefer to do these questions. Instead of separating them into to the power of a half times to the power of 3 and so on and so forth, I just keep it as simple as that. I think there is a number that I need to raise it to the power of the denominator to give me the number that I'm looking for, and whatever that number is that I found, I'm going to raise it to the power of the numerator, and that's going to be my final answer, and this is how I do it. So question 7, we've got some box plots, and these are the types of questions that the majority of our students tend to struggle with. Well, nationally, students struggle with writing comparisons for these type of information, because when it comes to maths, we're just thinking, oh, we're just going to be doing some mathematical calculations and we don't really need to make any comments. The first question is going to be quite straightforward. Everyone should be able to just find out what the median is. but the second question is something that we're struggling with, so I'm just going to go through it with you step by step. So the first question asking, write down the median length of the courgettes grown in the greenhouse. So we go to greenhouse, we go to median, which is this section here. This is median, this is upper quartile, this is lower quartile, this is the lowest point, and this is the highest point. Okay, now the median is going to be here, greenhouse, we go down, it's there, we've got 25, 26, 27, 28. Now, with comparisons, when you are comparing two box plots, my recommendation for you is to just look out for the median and the interquartile range. So when I compare these two, I can see that on average, courgettes from the greenhouse are longer as the median is higher. Okay, so if the median is higher, then you can clearly see that the courgettes are going to be longer. So I'm going to be writing down, on average, courgettes from the greenhouse are longer as the median is higher, or as their median is higher. And what you could do is you could just write down what the difference is between the median. So you've got 28 and 27. So the greenhouse, I'm just going to write down GH is 28 and the garden is going to be 27. Okay, so you could just write down the comparison there as well. Interquartile range, one information that you guys need to remember is that the smaller the interquartile range is, the more consistent results you're going to get, whatever it is. The smaller the interquartile range is, it gives you more consistent results, okay, more accurate results. So the length in this case is going to be more consistent for the greenhouse. So the courgette's length is going to be more consistent for the greenhouse, okay, because the interquartile range is smaller. What is the interquartile range? Is the upper quartile, take away the lower quartile, upper quartile, take away the lower quartile. You can see this is smaller than this section here. That means the length of your courgettes is going to be more consistent with the greenhouse. So I'm going to be writing down the length in greenhouse are more consistent, and you can use this information for anything, by the way. When you're comparing two box plots, you can always look at the interquartile range and the median as interquartile range is smaller, and you can write down what the interquartile range is really. I think the greenhouse is going to be 11, and the distance from here to here is going to be 15. So the greenhouse is 11, garden is 15. There we go. We've got a fluency and problem solving question combined together, but we know how to complete these questions. Complete the tree diagram is going to be a quite straightforward question for you guys. You need to remember that the two branches you've got will need to add up to 1. So you've got 0.35. To add this to 1, I'm going to take away 0.35 from 1. That's going to give me 0.65 for this section. If I've got 0.9, it's going to be 0.1. If I've got 0. This will just repeat itself. The question is asking us to work out the probability that Shamil passes only one of his tests. So you are looking for probability of pass, fail, and then probability of failing and passing. Okay, watch out for the language. Passing and failing, failing and passing. And then in the end, it's going to be this or this. So or in probability is going to be adding, and is going to be multiplication. So if they were to pass the first time, it would be 0.35 multiplied with failing the second time. It's going to be passing, failing, 0.1. And that gives us 0.035. And failing the first time round is going to be 0.65 times passing the second time round is going to be 0.9. That's going to be 0.585445. Yep. And then I know that it could be, the possibility could be this or this. Or means add, so we're going to be adding 0.585 and 0.035, which is going to give us 0.620, which could be written down as 0.62. Okay, and that's your final answer. Okay, question 9. Convert 0.23 recurring to a fraction in its simplest form. So x value is going to be 0.23. 3 is recurring. Remember, we're going to be taking this recurring decimal section to the left-hand side. So that means we need to times it with, I'm going to times it with 10 first. So if I have 10x, it's going to give me 2.3 recurring, and if I times this by another 10, it's going to be 100x, because my aim is to try and take this recurring decimal section to the other side of the decimal point. It's going to be 23.3 recurring. So I'm just going to write it from largest to smallest, so it's going to be 100x, so I don't get any negatives, 23.3 recurring, and then 10x is 2.3 recurring. And if I find the difference between them, what's going to happen is that I'm going to be able to simplify. I'll get rid of these recurring decimal sections. So that's going to give me 90x is equal to 21. Divide both sides with 90, because we're solving for x now. It's going to be 21 out of 90. We can divide it by 3, can't we? So if you divide these by 3, so we're simplifying them, it's going to be 7 out of 30, and that's your final answer. Okay, so we are going to be looking at some surds as well. So show that 20 out of root 10 can be written down in the form of a root b. We know that anytime we have a denominator that is square rooted, we're going to need to rationalize this. So we need to times this by root 10 out of root 10. So we're going to end up with 20 root 10 out of root 100, which is a 10. 20 divided by 10, there's 1 10 in 10, 2 10s in 20, so that's going to be 2 root 10. So A is 2, B is 10. For the next one, we are going to be doing the same thing, so for this one here, and then we'll just work out what root 54 is, but let's just do the first one first. 24 out of root 6. We're going to times it with root 6 out of root 6, which is going to give us 24 root 6 out of 6, because root 6 times root 6 is going to give you root 36. Root 36 is actually roots just 6. We're going to simplify these. 1 6 and 6. 4 6s in 24. So the first section is going to be 4 root 6. So we've got 4 root 6. And we need to add root 54, but they want us to write it down as root 6. So we need to think of something times root 6 to give us 54. So that's going to be 9 times root 9 times root 6 will give us root 54. Root 9 is 3, so therefore this is actually 3 root 6. So 4 root 6 plus 3 root 6 is going to give us 7 root 6, so k is 7, and that's your final answer. I'm going to be going through some extra practice questions with you, so this is where the warm-up just ends, but I'm just we've just got some more questions that I would like to go through with you. Some problem solving, some fluency questions that usually tends to come up in the exam. So pay attention to these questions and make some notes as we go along. Cumulative frequency. I'm sure everyone likes the cumulative frequency question. It's a quite straightforward question. What we need to do is, don't worry about the two sections that you've got here for your table. With the cumulative frequency, you just need the cumulative frequency to just plot and sketch. It says draw a cumulative frequency graph. Okay, so the cumulative frequency will start from 6. We're going to be adding on the next point, which is going to be 8. 6 plus 8 is going to be 14. 14 plus 15 is going to give us 29. 29 plus 11 is going to give us 40. And one thing that we need to remember with cumulative frequency is that whenever we're plotting these, we're going to plot it through the maximum point. So it's going to be 206, 414, 629, 840. So it would look like 206, 56, it's around here. 414, so it's like around here, and then we've got 629 just below 30, and then we've got, what have I got, 840 bang on, there we go. So it's going to look something, well, something like this. And then you can just go back where you started from, which is 0. I usually do like a dotted line there. Use your graph to estimate the median mass of the 40 cows. So median, 40 is the maximum point. Halfway through is going to be the median, which is going to be 20. So we go to 20, we go along. As soon as we touch the graph, we're just going to go down. Ooh. And that is going to be somewhere around, I mean, I'm seeing it as 470, 480-ish. I mean, if this was on a paper, it would be, my answer would be different because I'm just doing it on here. So the answer roughly is going to be like 470, 480-ish, I think. I mean, it would be a different story if I was doing this on a paper, so because I'm just doing it electronically, I might just be slightly off. But this is the answer. Right, simplify fully. So this means that, okay, so we're going to be factorizing these two, and some will be simplified, really. So 2x squared to take away 32. 2 is a factor. X squared minus 16, so this is factorized, and then I need to think about two numbers to times to give me 20, add to give me 9, so that's going to be 4 and 5, x plus 4, x plus 5. So there isn't anything that I can simplify at the moment, but what I can see is that there's difference of 2 squares, so I can just write this down as x plus 4, x minus 4 divided by x plus 4, x plus 5. Well, I can simplify these two now, and then my answer could be this. That's your answer. I mean, if any of you just went ahead and expanded the bracket, which I wouldn't, I'd just leave it there. You could also end up with this. Okay, and that's your final answer. Okay, two friends are sharing £540 in a ratio of 7 to 3. Kay and Tom. Kay gives some of her share of the money to Tom. Tom now has the same amount of money as Kay. How much did Kay give Tom? Okay, so what we have is we've got 7 to 3, so that's 10 parts. So 540 divided by 10 is going to give you £54 for each part. Let me just write this better. £54 for each part. So the extra for visual learners, I'm just going to quickly do like a box section. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is K, and Tom is going to be 3, 1, 2. So the extra section they have is the 4 parts of 54. So it's going to be, so each of this is 54, by the way. We found it to be 54. So the 4 lots of 54 will be divided between them so that they have the same amount. So extra is 4 boxes, and 54, 54, 54, 54. So if there are 4 54s, if the 2 54s were given to Tom, then they would have the same amount. So 2 times 54 is going to be 108. So that's how much K gives Tom. Or you could just do it as 54 plus 54 plus 54 plus 54, which is the 4 sections, half it, and then give each the half, which is going to be 108 again. And that's how much they are going to be giving. Well, K is going to be giving to Tom. And that's going to be £108. Okay, question 14, exact trig values. So it's really important for us to draw the trig value triangles, or some of you remember it as a table, so it's totally up to you how you would like to use it, but I would always recommend my students to draw these triangles as soon as they start their test to use them if need be. So that's 60, 30, 1 root 3, 2 for the first one, and then there is another one that's 45, 45. One root 2 for this one. Sin 60, I go to 60 degrees. Sin, I know sin is going to be opposite divided by the hypotenuse, so opposite of 60 is going to be root 3, and divided by the hypotenuse is going to be 2. So sin 60, the value of sin 60 is going to be root 3 out of 2. Show that the value of 4 cos 30, okay, 30, we'll go to 30. Cos means adjacent divided by the hypotenuse. Adjacent is root 3 divided by the hypotenuse is 2. So 4 times root 3 out of 2 times sin 60 we found it was the same, times tan 45. You go to any 45, it doesn't really matter which one. If you go to this one, for example, it's going to be opposite divided by the adjacent, which is 1. If you go to this one, it's going to be opposite divided by the adjacent. The opposite is 1, adjacent is 1 again. So it doesn't really matter which one you use, as long as you use one of the 45s. So that's what we're going to have. 4 times root 3 is going to be, this is out of 1, this is out of 1. Wouldn't make any difference with multiplying it with, so that's going to be 4 root 9 out of 4. So 4 times 3, 12 divided by 4 is going to be 3. That's your answer. Okay, so we have a function question here, composite functions. We've got f of g of 3. With these type of questions, what we need to do is we need to find out g of 3 first and then substitute that back into the x value of f. So g of 3 is going to be 3 squared plus 30. 3 squared is 9 plus 30 is 39. And 39 will be substituted back into f. And f of g of 3 therefore becomes 39 take away 5, and that is 34. Work out g of f of x and write it down like this. So what they're saying is take whatever you have for f of x, which is x minus 5, and substitute it into g. So this will be substituted into the x value of g, and I'm going to have to square it, of course, because it is x squared. So g of f of x is x minus 5 squared plus 30. X minus 5 squared, this is a double bracket, you can just write it down as x minus 5 plus a 30. You expand the brackets, it's going to be x squared minus 10x plus 25 plus 30. It's going to be x squared minus 10x plus 55, and that's your final answer. Right, question 16. P is a point on the circle with equation x squared plus y squared equals 34. P has x coordinate of 3, so that means over here, when I write down the x coordinate of P, it's going to be 3. I can figure out what the y coordinate is going to be. If I substitute 3 into this, I can find out y. So if I have 3 squared plus y squared equals 34, that's 9 plus y squared equals 34. Take away 9 from both sides is going to give us 25. So I've got y squared is equal to 25. So y could be positive or negative 5, because I'm going to have to square root both sides to find out y. What I need to think about is that this is the y-axis over here is going to be on the negative side. That means I need to use negative 5, not positive 5. Okay, so I found the coordinates here. It's asking me to work out the equation of the tangent. Okay, in order for us to work out the equation of a tangent, we need to find out the equation of a radius, and then we do the negative reciprocal of that to find out the equation of the tangent. So gradient of my radius is going to be, remember this is 0, 0. Gradient of the radius is going to be negative 5 out of 3. So negative 5 take away 0 divided by 3 take away 0 is going to give you negative 5 out of 3 as the gradient. This would mean that the gradient of your tangent, remember the equation is y is equal to mx plus c. The gradient of your tangent is going to be the negative reciprocal of this, which means the fraction is going to flip upside down, and it's going to, this negative sign is going to become a positive. So you're going to have 3 out of 5. So y is equal to 3 out of 5 x plus c for the equation of your tangent. To find out the y-intercept, we are going to be substituting 3 and negative 5. So it's going to be negative, let me use a different color. Negative 5 is equal to 3 out of 5 times 3 plus c. When we do this calculation, c is going to be negative 34 out of 5. So you do negative 5, I'm going to carry on here, negative 5 is equal to 3 out of 5 times 3 plus c. Negative 5 is equal to 9 out of 5 plus c. Negative 5 take away 9 out of 5 is going to be c. Make them the same denominator, times it by 5, times it by 5, which would become negative 25 out of 5, take away 9 out of 5, and then that becomes negative 34 out of 5. So c is negative 34 out of 5, which means my equation is going to be, I just go back and write it down here, it's going to be y is equal to 3 out of 5 x take away 34 out of 5 as your final answer. So this is the final question that I was going to go through with you guys. So good luck in your exams, and make sure if you have any questions, comment down below and I can try and get back to you for any questions that you need help with. Good luck and have a good day.